Marriage is a beautiful thing. It's an awesome and amazing relationship. And everyone, well, almost everyone, dreams and desires to get married. Little girls dream of the day they will be married. And even men too look forward to it. And so we grow up into adulthood. And we think of life spent with that one person that we love so much. And we believe and imagine that we will have a beautiful life with the love of our lives. And the wedding day comes, and it's such a beautiful, magical wedding day. Everything is picture perfect. You walk down the aisle with your Prince Charming or your princess, and you say, I do. And then you start life together. Gradually, life begins to unfold. And then off come the rose-colored glasses. You begin to see things that you never thought you would see or you never gave thought about. You begin to realize that this person that you love so much is only human, with frailties, with weaknesses. You begin to see cracks, flaws. You begin to wonder, how did I get myself in this? What am I doing with this person? Gradually, the love begins to die. The love begins to wane. The feelings that you had before begin to filter away. The emotions are not so strong anymore. Now you're spending 24 hours in a day together. You're spending 7 days in a week together. Suddenly you see that this woman that you love so much is not such a great cook, but you love to eat. Suddenly you hear the snoring of the man sleeping right next to you. Night in, night out, he's snoring. All of a sudden, that whom you love so much is no longer as precious and priceless as you once thought they were. You're getting to the stage of what I call see finish. See finish is setting in your marriage. It sets in when you begin to commonize yourself. It sets in when you begin to pay less attention to each other's needs and wants. It sets in when you no longer see yourselves as priority towards each other. When you get to that stage, see finish is setting in. And so, what is this thing called see finish? What is it all about? What does it mean? How do you identify it? How do you recognize it? And what do you do with it if it happens to be that you're in the see finish stage of your marriage? Well, I will explain. Now, see finish is local parlance for when something has become common. In other words, you have become so familiar with each other that you are now common. You're almost like commodities. And you've reached a stage where there's no big deal. Nothing new under the sun. It is at that point in your marriage that you begin to treat each other shabbily. It is at that point in your marriage that you begin to irritate one another. You begin to take each other for granted. So see finish is simply the fact that there's nothing new under the sun. You've become common. You've become so familiar. Nothing excites you about each other anymore. And because that has set in, you therefore do not make the effort that you used to make in times past. You stop trying. You stop making the effort. You stop acknowledging needs and feelings. In other words, familiarity now begins to breed contempt. In breeding contempt, not only do you stop trying, But in some cases, you even begin to show unkindness. You become unkind in your words, you become unkind in your deeds, you become unkind in your actions. These are all the hallmarks and the traits of see finish setting in your marriage. Now, what you do need to know is that it is very, very, very usual and even expected that having been married to someone for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you will get to a stage in your life where you become so used to each other and so familiar that you begin to take each other for granted. It is a stage in marriage, and it happens in the best of marriages. But the thing to note is that the fact that you have become so familiar with one another does not mean that that familiarity needs to lead to you taking each other for granted. It doesn't mean that that familiarity needs to lead to you commonizing yourself. It is when that familiarity leads to you commonizing each other, that is when what you call see finish sets in. So that is in a nutshell what see finish is. Now